Now, for me to do my job properly, at the beginning of this recipe, if I'm to be like any other recipe I find on the internet, I need to give you a little bit of backstory. Maybe tell you a little bit about my life and why I came to this position, or how I came to like Scotch eggs. So let me start by giving you my first memory of Scotch eggs. Can't remember. But I'm going to make something up that will make you think, wow, what a fascinating story. Or maybe it'll just make you think, Rikki, you're just full of shit. When I was a small child, I remember sitting at my kitchen table and saying to my mother, Mama, what happens to the miners when they're down in the pit and it's breakfast time? Because miners work funny shifts, Mummy. I must have been maybe 2, to come up with a question like this. They must be down in the pits, Mummy. What do they eat for breakfast? And my mother, in her infinite wisdom, she said, well, son, they have Scotch eggs. And Scotch eggs is like a breakfast in one bite, or several bites, but in one package. Inside you have a hard-boiled egg, and outside that you have the sausage meat, and outside that you have the breadcrumbs. So essentially it's like having a proper English breakfast. You've got the egg, the sausage, the toast or the bread. I said, Mama, that's amazing. But we live in Yorkshire, and I'm talking about Yorkshire miners. Why would something that is a traditional Yorkshire breakfast eaten down a mine be called a Scotch egg? You know what my mum said to me? Do you know what she said? As I stood there as a little child with an honest question, she said, listen, son, stop being so big-headed. Smacked me around the head and sent me to my room. So that was my first memory of Scotch eggs. Now I feel I can let you into the rest of the Scotch egg recipe, secret thing, and I hope you will try them. I hope you will enjoy them. If you don't enjoy them, don't tell me, because I don't really care. If you do enjoy them, still don't tell me, because I'm not really interested either. I'm doing this more because I've made them several times and I've shown pictures, and typically I get a lot of people commenting that, oh wow, they look amazing. Or I will share them. This is obviously pre-COVID times. I would share them with people and they would say that they were delicious. They, reminded them of simpler times. And, how do I make them? And they wanted a recipe. And for those people, this is yours. Okay, so it's a Saturday night. The kitchen is looking nice and clean. So what better thing to do than to mess it all up by making some special treat? I've decided to get back into the keto, the low carb diet, and so here is my list of ingredients for my little cooking thing. And I am, of course, making Scotch eggs. So you will see we have some, what is this? This is some ground pork. We have some pork rinds. They're similar to pork scratchings, but not exactly the same. In fact, not even really close, if I'm being honest. These, in fact, are pork scratchings, and they are delicious. Not saying that pork rinds aren't delicious, but they're no pork scratching, let's be honest. I've got, what have I got? 1.2-ish, maybe 1.3 kilos of ground pork. You need about 100 grams just over for to make a good Scotch egg. And so here I have my dozen eggs. And then I have to season my meat for now. And so I've got a selection of stuff here. Don't ask me what quantities I put them in, because it's all guesswork. But I've got garlic powder, sage, dry mustard, paprika, ginger, thyme, and I'm hoping this is parsley. The as you can see, everything's rubbed off the bag, so I've got no idea, but we'll give it a shot. And that's the beauty about these things. When you're seasoning your meat, it's very hard to go wrong. That's not probably true. I'm sure you can go very wrong, but as long as you use some common sense, you're going to get yourself 90% of the way there. The process itself, I'll go over quickly. I'm going to put the eggs in a pan to boil. I am going to, while the eggs are boiling, I'm going to put all the mince into a bowl and put all the seasoning in and get it all mushy with my hands. Once I've done that, I'm going to then split it all up into even little balls of like seasoned mince, and then I'm going to cool the eggs down under the sink tap. Under the sink tap? What kind of an expression is that? Under the tap. Cool them down, peel them, dry them, and then I'm going to place the mincy, meaty stuff around the actual egg. Then we get to the other fun part, which is the breading of the Scotch eggs. Now, as you saw earlier, I'm using pork rinds. I'm going to crush those up and grind them into a fine powder to simulate breadcrumbs, but obviously being keto, I want to keep low carbs. This bag here, as you can see, it says that it's got 1 gram of carbohydrate per 15 grams of product. There's about, I mean, if you're assuming that 15 grams is a serving, then you've got about 5 servings, so you've got about 5 grams per bag. I'll probably end up using 2 bags, so there'll probably be about 1 gram of carbohydrates from the Scotch, from the coating of the Scotch eggs, i.e. the pork rinds. Be 1 gram of carbs per Scotch egg. All right, I'm going to crack on. Excuse the pun, because we're talking about eggs. I'm going to crack on and I'll give you an update shortly. Bye. Okay, so we're back. As you can see on the pot, the eggs are boiling. Look, I've used all the eggs in the container. They're in there. I now have my minced pork in the bucket, and now I'm going to season it. So as I said, I've got no idea what quantities I put in. I just go by feel and touch. So this is garlic powder. What else we got? We're going to put some sage in there. Sage is always good with the sausage meat. I'm going to get some dry mustard in there. That's good. A splash of paprika. Do I want to put thyme in? Yes. But I'm just going to use it very, very sparsely. Sparsely, rhymes with parsley, so we'll put some parsley in. And again, just shaking it in. And then the other thing that I didn't put in yet is ginger. Yeah, I'll just get a splash of that in, we don't need too much ginger. And then what we can also use, we got some salt and pepper. So this is some pink Himalayan salt. Get some of that going in there. And what else? Some black pepper. We'll grind that up. Probably better with the actual ground pepper rather than freshly ground. So now I'm going to get my hands in here. Actually take the water off first, because otherwise it's going to get all gunky. I'm going to get hands in. They are clean, I've just washed them. You didn't see that, but I did. If you're calling me a liar, I'll come looking for you. And then we just literally get our hands in and start mixing them around. Some people will probably find this a bit disgusting. I actually quite like it. I find it very therapeutic. It's like I'm imagining it's one of my child's necks, you know, scrawny little buggers. You know, But the only time you can have any physical contact with them. Grab them by the neck and go tidy your room, that kind of thing. Or don't answer me back. No, I won't drive you to your friend's house. It's bloody COVID, don't you know better? You know, that kind of thing. So, and then once you've kind of mixed that all in, you take a small bit and then you have a taste just to make sure it's good. I'm joking, you don't do that. That would be bloody stupid. But now I'm realising that I can't stop the camera because my hands are all goopy and I don't want to touch the screen. But I'm going to do it anyway. So here we are. We've got our mince all done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to weigh it out and I'm going to make sure we've got 12 equal bowls. Ooh, suit you, sir. Okay, so you find me now at the making the bowls stage. I've got my bowl. I now have my trusty little scale. I'm going to just set the bowl on there. What have we got? Zero it out. And now, with the bowl in place, I have 1257 grams. So if I'm going to make 12 Scotch eggs and I want them all to be roughly equal, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to need about almost 105 grams per Scotch egg. So I'm going to zero out again. And now, as I start taking stuff out, it's going negative. So now I'm looking for my, there we go. Oh, yeah, it's about 105 grams negative. So this is a bit basically about the size of what my Scotch egg meat is going to be. In the middle of this baby, I'm going to be sticking a boiled egg. So right now, I don't really care about the shape or form. I'm just going to set it aside. And now I'm going to go for another 105 grams. So that's going to take me down to 210-ish. I could hit the reset button, but my hands are all mucky. There you go, there's 210 grams. And I'm going to continue doing this until I have 12 of the balls, and as you can see in the background bubbling away are my boiled eggs, so I'm going to leave them for a little bit and then I'll peel them in front of your very eyes. Okay, so my Scotch egg balls are all ready to be impregnated with an egg. Is that what the phrase is? But we're not ready for the eggs are still bubbling away over there. But while they're finishing off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my breadcrumb a la pork rind. So open a bag, grab yourself a Ziploc. These hold up better under the pressure. Trust me, I've learnt that the hard way. And then all we're going to do, I've got an entire bag in there, I'm going to squeeze out the air, and then I'm going to take a rolling pin and beat the shit out of it. And I'm going to do that with both bags, and I'll come back to you shortly. Okay, so I have one lot of the pork rinds already crushed up, and the other bag ready to go for when I need them as I'm going through the breading process. And I know some of you out there might be thinking like, Rikki, you're a smart man. Why did you do it by hand? Why did you beat it with a rolling pin in a Ziploc bag instead of chucking it in a blender and really getting it all mixed up automatically for you? Well, the fact of the matter is, doing it in like a Vitamix or a food processor or a blender or whatever, you're just going to end up with a fine powder, and I don't want that. I want some nice lumpy bits, and I could pulse it, but it's a mess. So this gets it nice and clean, gets me a nice consistency. It's going to be great for my Scotch eggs. I'm going to go sort out these eggs that have finished boiling away now. You might be also thinking, Ricky, why have you let these eggs boil so long? Don't you know it's just going to be like a solid lump now? Well, yes, I do. I do. I'm very aware of that. And the fact of the matter is, that's how I like my eggs. So balls to you. Okay, eggs are in the pan. They've all boiled. They are sat in some cold water now. I'm going to attempt to take the shells off. This sometimes goes horribly wrong. We'll see what happens today. I'm going to chuck all of the shells into the compost and we'll see what happens. So bash it on the counter, give it a bit of a start. Then all I'm doing is I'm just squeezing, and whoa, look at that. It pops clean out. Oh, look at that. I'm going to put it back in here just to clean it off. And then I'll just leave it in there for now. Actually, no, that'll get confusing later and I'll end up trying to peel a peeled egg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just chuck it back in the egg carton container thing. And hopefully that doesn't get all soggy. And I'm going to continue. See if this one does the same. Again, just all I'm doing, you can see I'm just twisting it in my hand, giving it a little bit of pressure until the, I guess the membrane of the egg all starts to come apart. This one didn't work, look at that. What a mess. This is going to be a pain in the ass to clean off unless... Oh no, hang on, here we go, look at that. Did it. Not perfect, but certainly not bad by any stretch of the imagination. And geez, it's a bit of the whole production process I can't stand. Peeling eggs, and now it just smells like farts in here. But then again, that might not be the eggs, because we can't smell it in here. So again, just rinse all the little bits of shell off in the water, and chuck it in my little egg container. Let's just see what's happening over here. Oh, ooh. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put them on this. I'm going to put them on this plate instead, because I don't want to get bits of cardboard stuck to them. That's that. I'm going to peel the rest of these and I'll be back. Now I'm going to show you this bit up close because this is often the not necessarily the tricky bit, but it's the bit that has the most comedic value when it goes wrong. And so I've peeled all my eggs now, and just for those who are interested, they are large eggs. If you're going to do extra large eggs, then you probably want about another 20 grams of minced pork per Scotch egg. But the reason I am drying them now is because if I try to stick the minced meat into or around the Scotch egg and it's a bit wet, it goes horrible and you can't actually get it to stick. So now it's nice and dry, it's a little bit tactile, and then this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place my egg down for a second. I'm going to take one of my previously created balls and I'm going to smush it, and I'm going to make it almost into like a burger patty, and then I'm going to grab the egg from off of this kitchen roll. Is it kitchen roll or paper towel? I always get told off for saying the wrong one, and now I'm so long living in this country I can't remember what the right one is. So here we go. So all I'm doing, setting my egg on top of the sausage meat, and then I'm going to fold it around like that, and I'm going to almost make it into a ball. Well, not almost, I am making it into a ball. Look at that. Just make sure you squeeze, but not too hard, but just make sure you've got enough pressure to essentially seal your egg inside your sausage meat. Look at that. Smells delicious. I can't wait to cook this one up. So that's that one. I'll show you once more. I'm going to pop that back down there. And I'm going to grab, actually I need to dry my egg. So let me do that. I'm going to grab this egg, give it a bit of a dry. I'm going to peel that pube off. I don't know how that got there. That's weird. Actually, I think it was just an eyelash or something. Oops. Honest. There we go. So got a nice kind of sticky egg. I'm going to pop that down on there. That, I don't know if you can see, there's a bit of a line on it. No, Oh, there, see the line? It's because it cracked when I was trying to peel it. Well, happens to the best of us. So again, make my sausage burger, if you like, and then plop my egg in the middle and wrap the sausage meat around, and then I'm just shaping it. Take your time, there's no rush with this bit. Better to get it all nice and sealed, because the last thing you want is for that egg to explode out of the sausage meat when you're deep frying it later. Makes a right mess. Well, it doesn't make a mess so much, but it just doesn't look pretty. And if you like your Scotch eggs pretty, see the eggs popping out there. So I just need to squeeze a little bit more meat around it. And that looks good to me. So I'm going to do that for the other 10 and I shall return. Okay, so I'm back. You can see my Scotch eggs are starting to take a Scotch egg type shape. The kettle's going off in the background. I'll just stop that. Apologies, I should have probably timed that better. But they're starting to take shape. Next step is the breading part. What I'm going to do, and I'll show you this up close and personal shortly. I'm going to take one of these Scotch egg balls, dip it in the breadcrumbs, dip it in an egg yolk, and then dip it back in the breadcrumbs. Now, some people just go straight into the egg yolk, into the egg yolk into the coating. I find it actually sticks nicer because it's already a little bit sticky, so it will pick up some of the breadcrumbs or pork rinds. And then if you dip it in the egg wash and then back into the pork rinds, you're champion. So I'm going to go grab myself a couple of eggs and make my little egg wash. And then I'll show you up close and personal how this all fits together. Like. So, crack my egg. That was terrible, look at that. And then crack the other one. And then, thought I needed to fish out some shell, but I'm okay. Just a bit of the egg, give it a bit of a whisk. Okay, that's my egg wash. And numero uno, Scotch eggo. See, I'm bilingual. Or trilingual actually. It means I don't actually understand any language, but I just try. So again, into the Scotch egg pork rind coating. Now it's already got a little bit of Scotch eggy type stuff on there, or it's starting to look a little bit like a Scotch egg. But what we're going to do, dip it in the egg wash again. And this is the messy part. If you don't like messy, you probably shouldn't be making this dish at all. Just go out and buy some. Oh, but you can't because they don't sell them anywhere. So there you go. That's all nice and goopy. And then we're going to chuck it back in here. I'm thinking that my Scotch egg, or my pork rind crumbs are maybe a little bit on the big side, so I probably should have smashed them up a bit longer. But when I'm done, and I give it another little bit of a reform to make it sure it's still ball shaped, that, my friends, is my Scotch egg, and that is going to be deep fried later and will taste absolutely divine when it's finished. I'm going to do the rest of them. For the meantime, I'm going to put that one on that plate and then start the next one. Bye. So here we are, halfway through the process. I thought I'd stop and show you what half a batch of uncovered Scotch eggs looks like compared to half a batch of covered Scotch eggs. You're probably thinking, well, Rikki, why did you stop in the middle of all this? You know, your hands were all messy. Well, I needed to go for a wee, so I had to wash my hands and then go for a wee, and then I had to wash my hands again. And I'm not saying that just to brag, you know, hey, look at me, I wash my hands twice, because that's what you should be doing. I am quite fastidious when it comes to hand washing and hand sanitation in the middle of cooking, usually. And then I also wanted to say that I have used one whole bag of the pork rinds for this half, so I'm going to have to empty the other bag of pork rinds into the thing. My egg wash, I've still got a fair bit left. Let me see if you can see this over here. Yeah, there's my egg wash. I've still got some of that left from the 2 eggs, but my bowl is empty on the pork rind side of things. So I'm going to refill that, maybe chuck another egg in there, and then we'll turn them into them. And I shall be back to tell you more about it shortly. Okay, so here we are. I have my Scotch eggs all ready to go. And what else have I got? Over here we have the trusty deep fat fryer that is now set to heat up. It is heating up to 375 degrees. We had a momentary little bit of panic there because I couldn't find the cord, and I thought, oh bugger, I'm going to have to bake them. Now you can bake them if you like. I personally prefer the deep fat fryer deliciousness. I don't know, there's something about when you do it in the deep fat fryer, they come out and all hot and moist. I think they tend to dry up a little bit in the oven, so I avoid that. And I like the deep fat fryer. That's why I got it. Although over COVID I liked it a little bit too much, and we deep fat fried pretty much everything, and as a result that's why I'm back on keto. Hey, look at that, gone full circle. So that's that, and once this reaches temperature we're going to fry some of these bad boys up, and then we'll get the taste test. So in terms of how long, usually depends on how deep the oil is and how hot it is and how many times I have to flip it, but I think that was unsightly. Talk about professionalism. But I think once the oil's up to 375, assuming we've got it kind of fully covered in the oil, I think we're probably looking at around 7 or 8 minutes per Scotch egg. You can usually get 4 in the basket at once. Try and keep them nice and separate from each other so that you can each egg gets as much of the heat circulating around it as possible, and they're not sort of stuck against each other. Get that even heat distribution. When we're ready, I'll be right back. Well, we've just had the sound that signals the idea that we're good to go. This is up to temperature. It beeped. So now we're going to grab 4 of these Scotch eggs. We're going to put them in the fryer. So here we go. Here's my first one. Oh, it's looking a bit bald on the bottom now. 2. As I said, try and keep them nice and evenly spaced out. So you could probably fit 6 in here, but I don't want to, because they'll be all squished together, and nobody likes squished eggs. So here we go. Are you ready? Listen for the sizzle. Oh, look at that. So they're going to go for, let's see, click the start button, put the lid on. I'm going to let them go for about 8 minutes. I'm going to check them about the halfway point and make sure that if they're not quite fully submerged, that we give them a bit of a rotation, and we'll check back in then. Okay, so the timer is down to 30 seconds. During the preceding 8 minutes, or 7.5 minutes actually, I have been looking inside and flipping regularly. Woo, look at that, all that steam. So I have just been rotating them just to make sure they're being cooked evenly, and it looks like they're looking pretty damn good. So I am going to now take them out, let them drain for a second, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some tongs. There you go, look at that. And that one looks like it just was about to split. Or did it split? Why is it not focusing? Focus. There you go. That's the first one. This is the second one. Nice and crunchy. Here's my third one. And here's the fourth one. Alright, all very delicious. So that's the first batch. I'm now going to reset my timer for 8 minutes. I'm going to put the second batch in. And we will have a dip into the fat. And we will go again. There we go. They're all nice and evenly spaced. And batch number 2. We'll join you again in 8 minutes time. And we'll see how they look. Okay, so second batch is in the deep fat fryer. This batch is now kind of dried off and sort of whatever it's doing, it's smelling delicious. It's giving off some fumes, so much so I can't help myself. I'm going to cut one open and we're going to give it a try. So I'm going to take this one, we're going to give it a slice down the middle. Make sure it's done. I don't know whether you can see that. It certainly looks done. That's good. And now I'm going to take a little bite. Ooh, hot. That's good. That, my friends, is delicious. Very, very delicious. Now, I've made a dozen of these. I'm the only one in the house that actually likes them. My family refuse to eat them because of the pork rind on the outside, which, to be fair, is why I actually make them with pork rinds, because then I get to eat them all to myself. So that's what it looks like. You can see the egg's not quite centered, but well, maybe it is. Maybe it's just darker here because that's where, on this side, that's where it split. So maybe that's because it was thin in the first place. But that, my friends, is a delicious Scotch egg. Oh, so juicy. I think what it perhaps could have done with, if I'm being honest, maybe a little bit more salt. So next time I will use a little bit more salt. But for the meantime, this is delicious. I will show you once all of the Scotch eggs are done. Adios. Okay, so we are back. We're just about to finish the third and final batch of four Scotch eggs. So that will be 3 batches of 4, giving us a total of 12. I've already eaten the best part of one of them, so we only have 11 left. This here is the last piece. I've had some. My wife, who came upstairs from the basement. That's not where I keep her, by the way. Oh, there's the beeping. I'm just going to turn these off. Okay, so we'll let them drain for a little bit.
But no, I don't keep my wife in the basement. That's just where she happened to be. And she came upstairs and tried the Scotch egg, which I am pleased about, but also disappointed, because this may mean she might start to like them, which means that I have less Scotch eggers for me. But this is the Scotch egg. Listen to the crunch. So that crunch, oops, that crunch comes from the crispy coated Scotch egg. The coating, obviously, like I said before, is pork rinds used to give it a lower carb value. But overall, this is very delicious. Makes a great snack when you're hungry. You want to just have something as a quick fix, but don't want to blow your carb budget. This, my friends, is a little piece of heaven. What could possibly be better than eggs, pork, and a little bit more pork? This, I just drop that on the counter, don't tell the wife. Still moist, still lacking in a bit of salt, but ultimately, c'est bon, c'est magnifique. But unfortunately, I have no one to share the 7 here and the 4 over there with, because it's COVID and we can't do sharing and stuff. So to the friends who will see this video and wonder where their Scotch egg was, I'm afraid to say it's probably in my belly. Thank you for watching, everybody. Good evening. This has been a Fat Lad Productions of Scotch eggs, and it's been successful. And these should last me for the week. Little tip. So if you're wondering what oil I used in the deep fat fryer, I used canola oil. I don't know whether it's the best for keto. I don't know whether it's the best for cooking, but it's what I had in the cupboard, so that's all good. And if you're thinking of how you can eat these on a regular basis without it becoming monotonous, well, one, doesn't matter because it'll never be monotonous because they're delicious. But what I like to do is I like to cut them in half. The problem is once they're cooked, to store them, you put them in the fridge or you put them somewhere. Ultimately, they're going to lose their crispiness and their crunchiness. You can heat them back up in the oven and that'll get some of the crispy back, or you can dump them back in the deep fat fryer for a little bit and that'll get some of the crispy back. But if you're wanting to eat them really quickly, chuck them in the microwave. Like I said, I like to cut them in half, chuck them in the microwave, slap a dollop of mayonnaise on them, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. You're away to the races with a delicious, eggy, porky, more porky treat. Enjoy them. I will see you another day.